if you have a kid in high school like I do, get one kid in high school, sophomore at La Serna in Whittier. I got another kid who is graduating eighth grade this year, and he'll be starting homeschool high school starting next year. You need to focus on what the state of California Department of Education is trying to do to you, trying to do to your kids' future. The California Department of Education wants to eliminate gifted, they're calling them gifted programs. This is the 2021 mathematics framework, and it blows apart the idea of gifted students, and it eliminates any opportunities for accelerated math. And I want to give kudos to Steve Miller, not that Steve Miller. I don't think he has a band. Steve Miller out of Orange County, he's got a great Twitter social media feed called Steve Miller OC, and he did a whole lot of the research on this and posted it yesterday on social media. But this is straight from the state of California Department of Education website, where it's all laid out. This is the new mathematics framework. No grouping students by ability, no algebra for eighth graders, no calculus for high schools. And the reason is racism. I'm just going to say it. The reason is racism. You know, there was a lot in the news the other day, a couple of weeks ago, and all of the politicians in California grandstanded and used hashtags about Asian hate. Stop Asian hate, stop Asian hate. And of course, most of that was because there were brutal attacks, anonymous brutal attacks on elderly Asian people in the streets of San Francisco and Los Angeles. It appeared the vast majority of those attacks to be African-American assailants. Those who have been arrested certainly fit that description. And these were random. And I know some people want to draw the line right back to Donald Trump calling it Kung Flu. Okay. You know what? We will all pick our political reason why these attacks are going on. The attacks are despicable. They're horrendous. They're horrific. And anybody who makes any excuses for them is evil. But if you really want to walk the walk and talk the talk against Asian hate, you might want to start with this issue, or at least include this issue in your repertoire. Because this Asian hate is coming from those very elected officials who love to pander to you and call everybody else in the room racist. Here's straight from the guidelines. In previous versions of this framework, students who have shown higher achievement than their peers have been given fixed labels of giftedness and taught differently. Such labeling has often led to fragility among students who fear times of struggle in case they lose the label, as well as significant racial divisions. In California, in the years 2004 to 2014, 32% of Asian American students were in gifted programs, compared with 8% of white students, 4% of black students, and 3% of, there it is, Latinx students. Now, let me ask you something. In the new mathematics framework, where they advise getting rid of algebra in eighth grade and remove gifted and accelerated math programs in high school with no calculus, I wonder, and maybe you're more enlightened about this than I am, why is it even relevant what the racial makeup is of the students who were able to use these programs up until now? Seriously. In justifying why you're removing this, why is the racial makeup of the students even relevant? What point are you making? I mean, I would read this if I were a legislator and the Department of Education proposed this to me. Hey, guys, hey, we got a great idea here. We want to get rid of grouping students by their ability so the accelerated students can learn with other accelerated students, and those that need more help with their math can learn with other students who need more help, so the teachers can focus their instruction properly and appropriately on those various groups with the various achievement level. See, that makes sense to me, but, you know, I'm not a professional educator. So, hey, guys, here's what we want to do. We don't want to group students by ability. We want to eliminate algebra for eighth graders, and we want to get rid of calculus for high school and other accelerated math programs. Okay? And by the way, part of the reason why is because, well, here's the thing. 32% of the students in these programs were Asian American, 8% were white, 4% were black, and 3% were Latino. And I'm a legislator. I'm an elected official, and this is what the bureaucrats in the Department of Education are proposing to me. And I would hold up my hand. I would say, whoa, 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 whoa. Hold it right there. Stop. Willing to listen to your proposals, but I got to ask you. This whole thing about 32% Asian Americans, 8% white, 4% black, 3% Latino. So what? Why is that even relevant? Why is that even part of your report? What has that got to do with anything? You're justifying eliminating this because of the racial makeup of the students who have been able to take advantage of these courses in the first place? I mean, I'm sorry. And again, maybe I'll get myself into trouble. This is why I won't run for elected office, because I guess this would put me in the doghouse. I would have to get canceled for this. But since I'm a talk radio host, maybe I'll be able to live another day by saying this. But I'm thinking the people who want to eliminate math programs and they justify it because of the racial makeup of the students, 32% of whom are Asian American, I'm thinking that's kind of racist. Am I wrong? If you're Asian American, does this not offend you? If you are raising an Asian American student in the state of California public school system right now, do you not feel that your child is being targeted because they're achieving? That your kid is getting punished because they're actually doing well? You see, we hear a lot about equity all the time. Equity, we got to do this for equity. We got to do this for equity. We got to do this for equity. Critical race theory, anti-racism from Ibram X. Kendi and all that. You peel it away. It all sounds great. Equity sounds wonderful. Critical race theory sounds fantastic. Who doesn't want to be anti-racist? Of course, that makes sense. But when you peel all those little buzzwords away that have been market tested, when you peel them away and say, okay, well, show me how these policies are actually enacted. What, in the real world, if you had your way, what would you do in the name of equity? And their response is this. You're seeing the response right here in the California Board of Education's recommendations. See, they look at this through the lens of their critical race theory lens. They look at this through their, I'll say it, racist perspective. And they say, well, we have a problem here. We have a problem because we have accelerated math programs in California. 32% of the students are Asian American, 8% are white, 4% are black, and 3% are Latino. And we need equity. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove these programs. We're going to get rid of them. We won't make it an option. And that way, the 32% of Asian American students and 8% of white students, well, they'll have equity with the black and Latino students. Everyone will be, if I can use this phrase, dumbed down. And you may be gifted and you may be wonderful and you may be kicking butt with math because your parents did a good job of focusing you on it because, I don't know, I'm a parent of 2 kids that just graduated high school and 1 kid who's in high school right now. And if you're my age and if you're of that generation, since your kids were born, it's been beaten into your skull as a parent that STEM is the future. STEM, STEM, STEM. Get your kid in STEM camp. Get your kid focusing on science. Get your kid focusing on technology and mathematics and engineering. So we've done that. We've set them all up for success. And now our kids will be punished because of it. This is how it is put into practice. And who suffers? Who suffers? You suffer. California's Department of Education justifies eliminating calculus for high schoolers because only 19% of high school calculus students end up taking math classes beyond calculus in college. What do you mean only 19%? If 20% of high school calculus students end up taking math class beyond calculus in college, that means you're doing something right. 1 out of 5, but because there's only 1 out of 5, we've got to eliminate it now. Now listen, maybe I'm biased here, and I am completely open with you. I tell you probably too much. But my children technically, if they check those boxes, my children technically are Asian American because they are 50% of Asian descent. Now, me, I don't judge people based on their DNA, based on their racial makeup, based on the blood lines that they have, based on their 23andMe. Because that's Neanderthal thinking, if I can say that. Some of the worst evils in the universe in world history have been perpetrated by people who focus and obsess on your race and your lineage and your ethnicity. We will be a better planet when children look more like my kids, which are 50% Asian, 50% some amalgamation of Northern European, Eastern European, Ashkenazi Jew. That's a little bit of everything. We should all be mutts. And then what will they point to? So maybe I'm biased because I've got the aforementioned Asian kids. And oh, by the way, they're great at math. I have a daughter in the Naval Academy. I talk about her a lot. And she's there because she kicked butt with these classes. And the state of California Department of Education right now, they see that as a problem. They see that as a failure. And so every kid in California must be dumbed down. Oh, and guess what? When Facebook is hiring, and HP is hiring, and Amazon is hiring, and anybody else in Northern California and Silicon Valley, when they're hiring, guess who they're going to hire? They're going to either hire kids from other states in this country who didn't do something this stupid and ridiculous and racist, or even better, they'll hire kids from China and India. Because I guarantee you right now in China and in India and in Singapore and in Germany, they are not debating whether they should reduce their accelerated math programs in high school. I assure you of that. This is not high on their list. And who will get your kids jobs? Thank you, state of California. Honestly, set aside the pandemic, set aside homelessness, set aside the fires, set aside the power outages, set aside the EDD scandal. Recall all of them for this.